one on Sudan. Do you have any update for us on evacuations and any efforts to extend the ceasefire there? Thank you.
So a couple things that I have on that, so please bear with me, but we wanted to make sure that's out there to all of you. So following intense negotiation, the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and Rapid Support Forces, RSF, agreed to implement, as you all know, a 72-hour nationwide ceasefire starting at midnight on April 24th, which is about 2 days ago. While there was an initial reduction in reports of violence, we are deeply concerned by the increase in ceasefire violations yesterday. We urge the SAF and the RSF to fully uphold and extend the ceasefire. As you heard from the National Security Advisor on Monday, Jake Sullivan, when he was here at this podium, the President has directed his team to help as many Americans as possible. We are working continuously to create options for American citizens to leave Sudan promptly because the situation could deteriorate at any moment, and we are communicating with citizens who have requested information about those options. And again, as at the President's direction, we are actively facilitating the departure of American citizens who want to leave Sudan by both air and land. This is something that you heard from the National Security Advisor as well. We have deployed U.S. intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets to support air and land evacuation routes, which Americans are using. And we are moving naval assets within the region to be pre-positioned to provide any necessary support along the coast. U.S. Africa Command has established a deconfliction cell to facilitate coordination with our allies and partners in this effort. We are also supporting our allies and partners who are including Americans in their evacuation efforts. We are helping facilitate onward travel for American citizens who arrive in Port Sudan, including with our consular teams afloat in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The State Department has deployed additional consular staff to the region to assist with this effort. The State Department has a consular team in direct communication with U.S. citizens in Sudan that is working around the clock to advise them of their options to leave Sudan and provide information on the security environment. One last point to make here is that this is a dynamic environment, and any option entails a degree of risk. But because the situation is unlikely to improve, we encourage Americans who want to leave to take advantage of the options that are available to them in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Given the President's direction and what you're saying right now, a number of other countries have evacuated citizens over the course of the last several days and taken advantage of the ceasefire the U.S. helped put into place. The U.S. still has not. What is different about your risk assessment right now, or security assessment, than what other countries are looking at as they've gone in and gotten their people out?
So want to be, as you know, when it comes to risk assessments and intelligence, we're very careful to not speak to that. But we've been pretty clear in laying out and communicating with the American people. You've heard us here from the National Security Advisor. You heard it from the State Department, from Secretary Blinken directly. And we have been clear on what the President laying out, which is what I did, laying out what at the President's direction, what we have done, how we've moved forward, how we've worked with allies and partners to get Americans out. And we've been pretty clear about this for the past several months, for the past year, of what the situation in Sudan. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations. As I just mentioned, there are counselor services, a counselor team that's there, that's trying to help Americans who want to leave in any way that we can. And so, again, we're going to continue to have those communication, but I'm certainly not going to get into any intelligence or how that's come about or how we come to certain kind of intelligence, surveillance, or reconnaissance.
Yeah, I understand on that front. I think my question, one, the security alerts from the State Department over the course of the last year never told people to leave. They told people never to travel there. The people that live there that are now trying to get out. What I'm trying to understand is the difference between what the U.S. sees and why they will not send in assets to evacuate versus other countries that have over the course of the last several days. Clearly there's something that's being seen. I'm not asking for intelligence. I'm just saying, can you explain the process here, given the President's directive to help?
No, I understand. And what I was saying is that we've been communicating with the American people for the past year, right? Level 4, that was out there for some time now. Look, we have deployed U.S. intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets to support air and land evacuations routes. That is something that we have done, and which Americans are indeed using. And we are moving naval assets. I remember you asked me that just 2 days ago, and I talked about that within the region to be pre-positioned to provide any necessary support along the coast. That is something that we have done. This is something that Jake Sullivan himself spoke to this on Monday. I'm just not going to go beyond what Jake said. But again, we have provided some, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets to support that air and land evacuation routes. But I'm not going to get ahead. Even when Jake was here, he was also very mindful in answering that question.